Welcome to the Intercut After Credits Show, the completely sporadic and unscheduled Intercut supplement where we go all in on a piece of TV, movies, or entertainment that people can't cut away from. I am your co-host, Zachary Shevich, and joining me, scratching his Ford Galaxy while pulling into the driveway, it's Arturo Zurita.
Bro, that was messed up. That was jacked up. At first I thought, I was like, what the heck is this man taking forever for? And then later on something happens. But we talking about, I got to introduce this one. I want you to fill in the other part, but this, as a descendant of the great Three Amigos, Alfonso Cuaron's got a new movie over here. I was able to see it at TIFF.
Mm-hmm. I caught up with it at New York Film Festival, but I will let you talk a little bit about your Uncle Cuaron's new project. Just want to let the audience know that what we do here on After Credits is dive deep on something that we can't stop thinking about for other people who can't stop thinking about that thing too. And that means we'll be talking about anything and everything, including spoilers. So you might want to wait until you've seen the movie to watch our segment. If that's not your thing,
maybe it'll get you to watch something you didn't want to.
Exactly. So feel free to stick with us because before we even jump into the spoiler zone, we want to talk a little bit more generally about Roma.
Dude, I know you already got the whole setup for this to explain it more than I do, but Cuarón has been making stuff since like way back in the beginning, right? He's got Y Tu Mamá También, right? He did that one Harry Potter movie. Love the Harry Potter franchise. Big fan of the Harry Potter franchise. And then Gravity being the last thing he made.
Mm-hmm.
This is the complete opposite of all of those.
Yeah,
I said this when I got out of it.
Big 180 for him.
This ain't no Netflix movie.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, I know what people watch on Netflix. This is not a Netflix movie. This is that music box theater selection.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's not a Netflix movie in the complete opposite way of like why Gravity, I feel like, is not a Netflix movie, you know?
True.
Like, Gravity, it's kind of this like epic,
theater
big
experience.
thing. This, it's so quiet and
It's
intimate
so
that you
small.
want to be in the room with it.
Right. And the only other thing that I would say with it is that surprisingly, like you said, it is different from Gravity, but it's also similar in things that I didn't expect. This is actually a movie you want to see in theaters for the least thing you would expect it to be, right? It's shot in black and white and it looks gorgeous. It's beautiful. You want to see it in the best possible screen you can. Some of us do have that at home.
Mm-hmm.
What most of us don't have at home. Surround sound that you would not expect from a movie like this. Right? And we're going to get into that, but go ahead. Explain the rest of it, because I know you got the notes for it.
So, Cuarón's new film takes place in Mexico City, the director's hometown. It's in 1971, and we're following Cleo, a maid to a middle-class family. Roma is deliberately slow-paced. It's a slice-of-life movie that goes to great lengths to recreate the atmosphere of Cuarón's childhood. Its cinematography, its sound design, and the cast of largely unknown actors lends to the really immersive experience of seeing Roma. So you caught this one at TIFF. I just caught it more recently in New York.
So I did, sir.
Let's start off. What were your general impressions of seeing the movie?
Depressing as hell.
Yeah, it's not a fun one. It definitely kind of leaves you a little bit shook at the end. There's a couple scenes that happen towards the end, which we'll get to in our spoiler section. That
I was about to get to it, but I'm gonna stop it a little bit because who is the complete opposite to trigger warnings? Me, I was like, nah. But is there not a scene that happens in here that they just don't cut away with? The camera just sits there, and I'm sitting there going, I've never been in that position, but I feel this is wrong. Like, that's a scene that has not left my mind. But then I start thinking, that's me. Can you imagine having had that?
Right. Going through that experience and
then having to see it again in freaking Dolby surround sound.
Yeah. There's
Look,
a lot
I'm
of
not
pretty.
Man.
There's a lot of scenes that start a little bit, not that serious, and then just the tension will build and build and build.
It just won't cut away. Well, Cuarón's known for that.
I think that's something that's really embedded in the style of the movie. He's clearly taken some hints from Lubezki. He's got these gorgeous long takes.
He shot the movie.
Yeah,
okay, guys,
he
wrote it.
For this.
He directed it, and he shot it. I'm pretty sure he went into his piggy bank and produced it. This man went all out.
Yeah. I mean, so there's that shot that opens the movie of just the tiles in the driveway and the soapy water coming over them. You see the plane reflected. Then it gradually creeps up. It's such a beautiful shot, and like I said before, so deliberately paced. Every moment feels like crafted, and you're just sneaking in on these relationships. seeing little bits of daily life for these people. It's a movie that very transports you. That being said, there is sort of like a minimalist approach to plot for a lot of this.
Feels like it.
And it's kind of, I don't know if that changed your experience at all of it. Were you finding it difficult to get involved right away, or did it hook you early
So again,
on?
I knew nothing about this movie. The only trailer I had seen was which was kind of the intro of the water.
Right.
And that's all it was, and it was like Roma then appears. So I was like,
literally the
dude,
first shot of the movie.
I thought this was gonna be a war movie. I didn't know what it was about. I had no idea it was about just the story of a maid who's taking care of this family.
Right.
And then it turns out that this family, little by little, you realize that dad ain't coming home, not because he's out on a business trip, but this dude may be doing some other stuff with other people. And
should I throw up a spoiler warning?
I don't know if that's in the trailer or not, but that happens like early on. Like you kind of catch up to that.
Yeah.
But is it really
also
a
not
spoiler?
movie that I really don't think there's a whole lot you can spoil except for
Exactly.
maybe the last 3-4 scenes of the movie.
The last 3-4 scenes of the movie, I think, is the only thing you could spoil. Because, like I said, when I say this is a Netflix movie, is that you're going to see a lot of articles either praising it, then the rest of Twitter, who just generally has a Netflix account, going, "That is the boringest thing I've ever seen."
Yeah, and that's
it's just going to happen. I'm telling you this.
I don't know if Netflix is a great way to watch it because it's so patient and so deliberately patient, and it's not gonna grip people unless you're already in it for the beauty of the composition and the beauty of those shots. It's going to be interesting to see if there's any love from a more general audience.
That's what I'm talking about. That's
the movie takes a little while to reveal what it's really about.
If it's about something to some people, you know what I mean? Because as we were talking about it a little bit before that, is that I didn't realize how connected it was. I guess I don't know my uncle like that. How personal it is, right? And that you'll see a bunch of people saying his most personal film, and it really is. And when you take that into account, you start realizing why, like you said, every shot is like deliberately, like to a point where it's just like this ain't an adaptation of a book. This is an adaptation of your life. That's why you want every brick and every, like, the car coming into the, like, the poop of the dog on the floor needs to be deliberately where you remember it on the tiles. To the point that we were discussing, was he the kid?
Right.
Who saw his mom go through something? Who had a connection with the maid?
Who was around the age of the kids.
Who was around
movie
the age
at
of the
that
70s?
time?
Exactly.
Yeah,
One of the coolest parts about this movie, and again, I forgot to mention Children of Men, one of my favorite movies of all time, my favorite of his. The subtlety of all the Easter eggs that happen, can't even call it Easter eggs, just the surroundings. You know, there's a Nerd Writer video and everything about that movie and a bunch of his other work. That this one takes, the way he shoots this, it being in the 70s, there was a big massacre that happened with a bunch of college students in Mexico during this time. That's never addressed full on.
Yeah,
it's addressed, right? Go ahead.
That's one of the things that's really interesting about this movie is that, you know, while it is ostensibly the story of Cleo, the maid, and the family that she's living with and the other maids that are there, the movie is big enough and there's enough being put into it, whether it's through the set design or through the use of extras or stuff going on in the background, that you really do get a fuller picture of, like, the city of Mexico City and what's going on. You know, politically even, there's people parading through the streets with trumpets and flags.
There's protests and stuff.
And then eventually, you know, enough of these scenes happen, there's
a huge massacre.
Yes.
And that's the thing about it. It's like, I liked it because it's a story that's happening in this big event that happened in Mexico City, right?
Totally.
And most of us who are watching it aren't even going to second guess what that was about. But it's the equivalent of someone in a foreign country, even though I do think 9/11 is bigger. It's like our movies where no one says, that was 9/11 when we were attacked. They just show you 9/11 on a board.
Unspoken context.
It's just the unspoken context of it, and you automatically know, okay, so this is when it takes place. He did that. He did that with that event because he goes, no, this isn't a Netflix U.S. movie. This is a foreign film. Mm-hmm. This is a Mexican film. And anyone from Mexico would know, that was that massacre that happened. You know what I mean? Absolutely. So it's like, it's this small story that happens during this big event, very slightly that they don't even cover it. But like we're talking about, it's all those details that he goes into it on telling the story of this maid and the stuff that she goes through. And while go ahead.
Before we get into spoilers, let's talk a little about her. Yalitza Aparicio plays Cleo. It's her
backstory?
first It's her first film role. You can fill in more.
Dude, so what I heard is she's a kindergarten teacher. My man said, yo, you got it. She comes in. This is her first performance, comes in with it. It's actually dual language. She's speaking in Spanish, and she's also speaking in, I want to say it was...
Mexico?
Yeah, it was an indigenous language. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Right off the gate?
Yeah, she's not just an amateur actor. Like, she hasn't done Spanish acting
Nothing.
either. Yeah. So it's her first film role, and there's already people talking about Oscar buzz for her.
Yeah.
You feel like that's merited?
I think so. I mean, her IMDb credit may be as blank as like a screenwriter's first page, but if your boy from Captain Phillips got it, and he was the limo driver, right?
Right. No, I think
so.
I think it's similar to like the case of Kavenjane Wallace in Beasts of the Southern Wild, where it just like the movie rides or dies on that performance.
Yeah.
You know, and
I say she gets it from the scene that we'll eventually talk about when we get into spoilers.
So we're going to open this up to some Roma spoilers. If you can't handle the truth or you haven't seen the movie, now is your chance to get out and watch a spoiler-free edition of the Intercut podcast. But for those of you who want to remain with us,
let's get into it.
I want to ask you a little bit about that minimalist approach to plot again, because we wait, and then eventually reveal that this is a story where the family's falling apart and Cleo is pregnant and her boyfriend isn't going to be there for her. There's this tension happening all around everybody with the stuff going on in the country. When those big moments start happening, is that really when the movie picks up for you? How did you feel about the movie's approach to?
For me, I thought it had little boosts here and there. You're just seeing the family and they're just chilling, they're doing their thing, and then the husband leaves. I wonder why. I ain't gonna tell me. Oh, it turns out it's because he's really cheating. Oh, damn, the kid saw him. The kid saw the dad with another woman, and he's not on business. He's on pleasure, right?
Yeah.
And you go there like, yo, what a scumbag. You then got the storyline of, because the mom then starts falling apart. And they're them being a middle-class family during that time, meaning that they get a whole house for the maids as well. She herself is dating a dude who's a friend of a dude or something like that, right? And then she ends up pregnant. And she tells him, yo, I'm pregnant. He goes, all right, I'll be right back.
Literally pulls a be right back. Like,
he gone.
Yeah.
Gone with the wind, all right?
Just dips out of the cinema.
I love how she goes and she, like, finds him, and this idiot's doing... He's, like, into some, like, karate stuff, some jiu-jitsu, some like that. And they got that one dude who you saw him earlier. He was, like, in a TV thing, and he does this whole thing where he's like, I'm going to pull this magic trick, and it really is just this subtle thing, and everyone tries to do it, and...
She's the only one who can?
Bruh, the scene... Oh, does she?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't even know... See, that's what I'm talking about with the little subtleties.
Yeah.
When she confronts him about why aren't you here for your kid, the definition of scumbag is what this guy posed in that scene, where he literally tries to like act so machismo in front of her, but it's like, bro, if you can't take care of your child, why are you doing him like Adonis? Is that what I say? That's my phrase.
Yeah, no, it's this thing like he's performing masculinity while failing as a man.
Being the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And then this idiot runs in his tight booty shorts to a car full of a bunch of other dudes sweating in tight booty shorts.
Yeah.
Complete and utter scumbag, only for it to be the reveal later on when the whole massacre is happening and they're in the middle of it, the main crew. She's pregnant with the kid and she's got to go somewhere else. That he comes in and it turns out he's a part of the opposite side of this rebellion that's happening. And he, in a sense, vicariously causes a stillborn.
Yes.
And that's the scene where I'm talking about, where she goes to the hospital and that camera just lays there, dude. And you see it from her perspective to a blurred out, it's a little bokeh out in the back.
Yeah.
And the baby just lying there.
The whole procedure going on while she's basically defenseless, right? She's in these stirrups. She's on the operating table. There's doctors all around her. And they're not even really asking her what she wants. It's just a bunch of things that are happening so quickly.
Yeah.
And her life changes and changes again in an instant.
Dude.
It was a heartbreaking scene. And the way that it just holds on that, it is painful to watch.
So that's the part where it hit me. Like, that's where I think all the discussion comes in. There's another movie called Burning. that I saw there. I'm not sure if you caught that one yet. That one's getting a little bit of buzz as well. And I feel the similar thing for that. I think the last hour of that movie is like incredible. I get where the buzz comes from. But there's that 2 hours in the beginning. I liked it more in Roma. Mm-hmm. But I can see people feeling the same way I did about Burning. Of course, there's parts that come into play to it for that last third of it. I felt a lot of it. I think a lot of people are going to feel about that Roma. Okay, but did we need to see them partying and at their retreat for 15 minutes?
Right.
You know, we get this, we get that. There's a bunch of stuff where they're just going to be like, oh, who cares? It's middle. I get it. It was personal to him, and they're going to pull the Terrence Malick thing. Bro, this is a home video. I ain't got to watch your home videos, Terrence Malick. Yeah. I understand that. I do. But that's that last half when she loses the kid. And then it's kind of a redemptive point for her, I want to say. When those kids had one thing on the agenda, right? When they go on a break, when they go to the beach, those kids were given one thing in the syllabus. Don't go by yourself. And what do?
Yeah, I mean, that's the other really tough scene. I don't think it's quite as tough as the stillborn scene, but the children wandering out into the ocean.
And the way he shoots it?
And the way he shoots it, just uncut. I was wondering how they managed to, get the kids to kind of disappear
drown
the way they did.
Right.
Yeah.
Yo, tell me I'm wrong. I was looking at the clock and I was like, not because it's like, I was like, this is close to an end. I thought he was just going to end it with credits. I would have been like, that would have been some wild thing to do, just end it with credits.
Yeah.
But there were several scenes, the stillborn scene, that scene, and the first scene when knowing that there was like riots going on, when she's in the theater and she tells him and he leaves. I thought something was going to happen in the theater.
Yeah.
So he does a lot of that, where with the ambient noise that he's got going on of doors opening up in the background, you're kind of sitting
really
there.
Effective.
Yeah.
You're waiting for something to come in and jolt you. And finally things do, and it really is effective and kind of a shock to the system. Like, it's one of those movies that it's not easy to shake it off afterwards. It's going to sit with you. It's going to weigh on you a little bit. I don't recommend having a night out after you see this movie.
Yeah, this ain't no date movie.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much.
I'll respond to that idea that you were saying how some of the more home movie stuff isn't necessarily as exciting. Like, I agree that, the whole vacation and the shooting of the guns and the forest fire on New Year's, it's not necessarily as integral to the movie. It's all gorgeously filmed. So just from a technical level, I was stunned by it. I was maybe less involved. Like, those aren't my favorite scenes. I don't think they were bad, though. They were just not the best scenes of the movie.
I can see people going, oh, it's a metaphor. Look at these rich people, but there's fire all around them. They don't have their stuff together. I get it. It's cute. I understand that. Yeah. I'm just saying from that general audience point of view and for rewatchability, I got the shot.
Yeah.
And then the frames and the frames and the frame. You know what I mean? It's everything.
Yeah, and then it goes on.
It's a very slow-paced movie. He just sets the camera there and he lets it breathe.
Yeah.
He lets it live in.
You really are dropping in on this family and on these lives. That's the thing that the movie's most effective at, and it does that primarily, I think, through the long take cinematography and, like you said, the amazing atmospheric sound design, which really just pulls you in. A lot of movies show you a different time and place, but not a lot of movies feel like
live in that time and place. Yeah.
It's definitely a heavy movie. There's a couple stunning scenes towards the end. I am with you in that I think Children of Men is still my favorite from Cuaron, but this might be my second.
Second. Damn.
For me, from him at least. I think he's a really great filmmaker, but this is something different, and just how personal it is clear to see.
Very obvious, yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. So that's all we've got for this edition of the After Credits on Intercut, but you can catch more from me, Zach Shevich, by following me across social media at ZShevich. Art?
You can find me as well at the A to Z Show all over Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. But of course, you can follow, if you like more of these, comment, share them, and let us know over at the Intercut Pod.
Yeah, absolutely. We are starting to try these smaller episodes, these supplemental episodes.
Yeah. It's
Hopefully
like a discussion that happens, because there's different when I make the Let Me Explains or A to Z Show video,
right?
Or like when you're tweeting or making your own videos, letterbox stuff. It's cool to have like a 20-minute discussion on this stuff. So
the things that really interest us about these.
Yeah, and like what we said, when we get to the bigger movies as well, you got anyone who you think has good chemistry with us? Tweet at them. Let them know to come on. But especially if we don't agree, tweet at those people, because those are the even better discussions.
You can listen to every regular episode of the Intercut podcast on Thursdays when we release them through iTunes, through SoundCloud, through whatever your favorite podcatcher is. I like Overcast. And make sure you're subscribed not just to the audio podcast, but to the video feed as well on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/intercutpod. You can also catch us across social media on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, also at intercutpod. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, remember, Roma is in Guillermo del Toro's top 5 movies of all time, but don't get excited. It's only number 5.
As a BA line. That's the boy right there.